Hi there, Liam. Hope you're having a great day today. It's your video lesson. So here are three things I want to talk about. I'll go down the list, and as usual, feel free to have your mom or dad shoot me over any questions or any video you'd like me to take a look at. Cool, let's get to it. So, awesome. Thanks for sending over those two videos. Very helpful for me to see what's going on. Let's see here. Bar chord exercise. Bar chord's looking better. It's looking better. I asked my teacher once why in his book of 101 really hard dexterity exercises, why he never had a chapter other than a short little mention in the beginning of the book about bar chord exercises. And his answer to me was, and I can't remember if I told you this already, he's like, oh, well, bar chords are just a first finger extension technique. And I thought that was really interesting because I found when I taught rock songs that did a whole lot of like this, so sometimes you can do this in a song, go, Killers and stuff like Smashing Pumpkins do that kind of thing. So a lot of indie rock does that kind of movement. And I found after teaching that to students that like actually their bar chords got better. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, how about I take that same idea and turn it into a bar chord exercise? So that's what I did. So the exercise is this. You get into like a power chord shape here. That's 5 on the A on the 6th string. And then your ring finger here on 7 on the E. And you can put down the pinky if you want for some extra challenge. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to extend with the first finger, right? I was talking to a violin teacher the other day, not Miss Vari, but another violin teacher, about how the ring finger is kind of like the center of the fretting hand. And then everything moves from this spot right here. I like that idea. I think I agree with it. So what you do is you keep that ring finger nice and tall, right? And what you want to do is you want to extend with the first finger, but you don't want to do this though. You don't like this stuff happening, right? Keep this stable here and you reach. So you're here and you reach that first finger. And notice the first finger goes on its side a little bit. That's normal. You want this gap in here. You don't want this to be going on. Right? You want this right here. If you can, right? So I'm trying to keep these guys nice and tall, right? Can I do another one? I can, barely. There we go. Right, what I'm doing is very slow. Reach. Back. Lift in place. These guys are all nice and tall. We're not doing this or with them kind of collapsing down. If you can, the thumb is dropping to do that. So that's another bar chord exercise. Like I said, don't do that. Like, don't do it forever. Like, maybe do it for like maybe a minute every day. Don't be a hero on this. And then rotate out those different bar chord exercises. So you can do like the curling one day, do this another day. You can do the rolling one if you want to. Another day. So just always be rotating out which one that you're doing. And then number 2 circles. I like it. I like it a lot. It grooves more now. It's not just like, oh, it's a classical piece and it has to be this way. You can have fun with it and you can improvise with the rhythm and with the tone of the piece, the tone color. In regards to the tone color, how the effect that you're using, distortion works. I think it reminds me of a heavy metal album I really like, and I was reading like the liner notes of the album, and they said if they could go back, what they would do is to replace the distortion for an overdrive, which is not quite intense. And they said the rationale for that was that the complex, they wrote actually with quite complex harmonies, really interesting sounding like jazz harmonies, but in a different form, in a different genre, which I think was really interesting. When they did chords like this right here would be an example of like a chord progression that they would have done there. Right? You're not going to find that in Bach, but it's neat sounding though. I like it a lot. But what the issue was that they threw too much distortion on. You can't hear that stuff hardly at all, right? I can pick up on it a little bit, but they said if they could go back and re-record the album, they would actually reduce a lot of that distortion, so that the harmonies were much more clear. There are sections of that album that are quite lush with different effects, but they said for a lot of it they would go back and change those sort of things. So what I would do then is not do distortion. I think what needs to happen is the next step of having a piece of equipment like that and using its full potential. Or he's tapping into another level of its potential, which is you got to hook up the computer, man. I know you probably don't need more computer time in your life, uh, but I think this is one of those things, if you want to really explore the possibilities of this piece of equipment right here, um, then you got to hook it up to the computer with a USB-C cable. You probably have one. If your house is like mine, we have a bin of old cables that no one's really using anymore, but just in case. I found an old USB-C printer cable in there, and it hooks up right to my computer. If you can't find one in your house, or an old printer in your house that they can commandeer one from, you can find them on Amazon for like $10, but it's worth the investment because it really, to utilize the full amp, you need to be on the software. So down the software, it's really, really easy to set up, and then to connect to your computer, they make it very simple. You just download a couple of drivers. You're probably better at it than I am. You just download a couple of drivers onto your computer. You connect the two. They talk, and it's much easier to control what you're doing on the amp, rather than just like, I think this knob does that. Oh, that's distortion. I guess distortion is the only thing this thing does. No, this thing does a lot, far more than this distortion. And I think the song needs something else besides distortion. It's too in your face, I think, for what Post Malone was going with it. And it still sounds nice with the distortion, but I think we can do even better than that. And the effect I would go for is modulation. So hook it up to the computer, and I'll just give you some examples of things that you can do with the software. So I wish I had one of those like side-by-side screen things that you see all the fancy YouTubers have. I don't have that capability yet. Maybe in the future if I do more of this stuff. But this is just a clean tone I've set it up to. So this is a clean tone. What's the first chord in the middle? Right, there's my clean tone. I dialed that in, and then what I did was, there's something on here. It's called Tone Central. If you open up the app, the program, and you go to the top, there'll be a button there that says Tone Central. Not that you can see any of this, but I click this, and it's a ton of free sounds that people have created, and they're totally free. I have some here that I've never paid for. One like this. That might be a bit heavy for circles. We have this one here, this ambient one, which I really like. Let's see here, what she always do this one. Move that up a little bit. That sounds good. So with that one, that's really the ambient sound. When I really pushed the strings, it started to distort a little bit, which is really nice. So with this song, like, you can put a little distortion here, but you got to do it the right way. Like I said, these are all free right here, and then you can get in and actually start using different pedals. Like, for example, I think the ones you start using for this song is called modulation. They're modulating the signal of the guitar. And it's a menu on here, so you have a ton of things in here. So say if I go to clean, and then I pick a tremolo effect, right? And turn that one on. Whoa, 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 whoa. Really neat. Right? So there's all kinds of stuff inside your amp that you could play with. That's like where like sometimes like hours will fly by in here. Like it'll be like Saturday, it was gonna be like Sunday afternoon. I teach on Saturday. It's like a Sunday afternoon, and I'll be back here for hours just like tinkering with different sounds. It's like Sunday's like my fun day. I come back here and play with all my toys. So do that for me, and then thank you for sending the Suzuki stuff over. Let's flip gears here real quick. So with Suzuki, good. You're doing really well with the right hand arpeggio exercises. And then doing the preparation. Right. So good job on those. What you can do for that to make it more interesting is you can do different combinations. There are 6 permutations of PINA if you always start with the thumb. right? So you've been doing P, I, M, A, and you've been doing that with the book 3, doing that with the book 3 tonalization. What you can do, another one that you can do is P, M, I, A, P, I, M, A, P, I, M, A, right? Even though we're not doing a whole lot of 8-finger free stroke in book 3 as of yet, I was talking with David Mattson about it a while ago, and he said he started that stuff back in book 3, even though you start seeing it in book 4. That way you have a whole like half of a book or 3/4 of a book to get the ring finger under control and get the hand stable. So that's why we're doing it now, and I would recommend doing the second permutation, which is P, M, I, A, P, M, I, A. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so the waltz prep. So thank you for sending over the arpeggios, but I got to see the Paganini. I've been dying. I've been waiting for it. I'm excited to see how much we're getting done on that one. If you haven't been able to practice that one, put that back on the menu so we can keep more forward momentum happening with book 3. What I was going to say with that is. With the waltz preps, get my crystal ball out, kind of seeing what could possibly happen or any pitfalls. Oh, wait, grab my book 3. Sorry. Where are you? 4. There you go, 3. So, crystal ball time. I'm trying to imagine what could possibly go wrong. In working on the Paganini, and let's see here. There we go. The preparations on page 9, you got to do them, man. Like they're just necessary. Any piece I do, Suzuki or otherwise, classical, even my rock stuff, I'll create preparations. That's what a lot of the bar chord exercises were born out of. Was like, well, how do I prepare a student for bar chords? That way, when they get to songs of bars, they're not struggling. The preparation is absolutely necessary. You will have a hard time if you don't do it, and you got to do the fingering that they put in here. You can wing. You can get by book 1 and 2 by winging the right hand, but as pieces get more complex, as they are for us now, right? You need to have. You can't go, hey, left hand. This is exactly what I want you to do. Go to these frets. Go to these notes here. You know what you're doing, right? Right hand. You wing it. Right? It doesn't work that way. As the pieces get more complex, you have to write in the right hand finger and get through the same one every single time. I spent a lot of time in school doing that. It was like, what's the most logical right hand fingering? Because outside of Suzuki, it was up to me and my teacher to discover what the right hand pattern should be with the pieces. So I would absolutely do the right hand patterns. I would write everything in too. None such is a right hand fingering exercise or etude. That's what it is. It's teaching a student how to come up with a repeating right hand pattern. So that way, when nerves hit, you're not like, oh my God, what am I going to do? With the waltz, the prep is the P and A, and then P A, P M, P M, P M. So making sure you do that. And then what would it be? Right, making sure that you use the ring finger rest stroke each time for the first string. Yeah. Middle finger. And then number 2 is Now, why am I using those fingers? And it has to do, if you go to measure 4, that's the first prep for the Paganini waltz. And so if you look there, it's the same. If you take out that G, the 16th note G, and you turn everything into 8th notes, that's what that prep is. And now, why am I using the why am I using the ring finger on the first string and then the middle finger on the second string? Is because of this. If I just do the right hand pattern, is I'm doing a rest stroke with the ring finger, the A finger, and the thumb is doing a free stroke, thumb stroke, and then the index finger is a free stroke. It's not a rest stroke. That's the point of book 3, is developing this ability to do it. It actually appeared at the end of book 2 with the Andantino, and this is a continuation. That's why that Andantino is so important, is because it's teaching you 2 things. It's teaching you how to do rest free, rest free, rest free, and it's teaching your hand, your left hand, how to do this shape right here. And then it continues on through book 3, where you do stuff like this and then stuff like this, as you found in Greensleeves. So it's a natural progression of that rest free arpeggio. And eventually, if you practice that enough, in book 4, it ends up becoming a free stroke right here. Right? So it takes 4 books to set up a free stroke, which I think is quite elegant in the way it was the pedagogy was set up. So yeah, so do the prep number. So start with measure 4, making sure you can do that. Let's see here. What was that? Making sure you can do that free stroke in there. You're not doing a rest stroke with that. Same thing with measure 5. Measure 5 is the number 2 prep. So you start by just doing the left hand by itself. Can you find all the notes? And then what I would suggest is doing that by itself is an arpeggio exercise. And then that way you'll be better prepared for the Paganini waltz. And then, like I said before, don't neglect working on the, how many sections we have here? I think we have 4 sections in this tune. 1, 2, 3, yeah, there's 4 sections. Don't get lost just doing the first section, because then the first section is going to be awesome, and then you won't know how to play the 4th section. So make sure to practice all parts of the Paganini waltz. I believe you did the prep number 3, which is that chromatic line. The, what was it? You've already done that prep. I think I heard you play it last time. You were in this view with the classical in your hand. Yeah, so work on that for me. If you have any questions, like I said, you can shoot those on over. If not, I look forward to your next video response. Bye.